going to be talking about some men topics, but again, this is not just for the men. Ladies, this is for you too, because we all know what a huge influence that we are on our men's choice of supplements, eating, all of that. So this is great information for everybody, right? Everybody needs to tune in.
Everybody should tune in.
Yes, so I'm very excited. And while we are waiting, I'm going to talk about next week, actually. Let me grab this sheet, because we're going to continue with the Men's Health Month. And next week, June 15th, is going to be the top 5 men's health concerns and issues. Oh, thanks, Darlene, for the thumbs up. Thanks, everybody, for letting us know you can see us, you can hear us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so that's going to be really good, too, talking about the men's top health issues. So we're just, putting a spotlight on different health issues. And today, though, we are talking about the top 6 supplements for men. Hi, Nicole. Thanks, everyone, for giving us a little thumbs up and a hi. So give me a thumbs up if you're excited to hear the top 6 supplements. Let me get a thumbs up. We've got 2 here. Give me a thumbs up if you would like more than just those top 6 supplements, because I think we've got some bonus stuff for you guys too.
We got some bonus information.
So yeah. Oh, good. Thanks. Thank you. We're excited about all this. Thanks for the thumbs up. I think, you know what, we always like to keep these, kind of short and sweet. And so I think we're going to get started. So
okay.
Thank you, everyone that's here. Again, I am Lori Rappy from Thrive Functional Wellness Center.
I'm Dr. Rappy from Thrive Functional Wellness Center. But before we get started, let me read my disclaimer. And it says, this presentation is for informational purposes only. This information is not a substitute for medical advice from your medical doctor. Nope. This information is not meant to prevent, diagnose, treat, or cure any health conditions. If you are concerned about your health conditions, please discuss this with your medical doctor or visit your local ER. Got to get that done and out of the way.
Absolutely. Got to get that disclaimer. So wonderful. We're super excited that everybody that's here, and yes, Nicole, we love bonus information too. We've got a lot of great stuff to talk about. So we're just going to dive in. So again, today's topic is the top 6 supplements for men. So I'm going to list them off, then we're going to go into detail about all of them. And I'm curious what you think that they would be. I'm curious if there's any ones that you're like, oh, I didn't know that. So give me a thumbs up, a little wave. Let us know what you think about them. So the top 6 that we're going to talk about first are vitamin D, vitamin B. Oh yeah, we've all been hearing about that. Zinc, that's been a big one too. Omega-3, magnesium, I feel like I'm always talking about magnesium, and L-Glutamine. So those, oops, I went one too many. So those are the 6 that we're going to talk about today. Any big surprises in there? Give us a little thumbs up about that. So, okay, we're just going to kind of go down the list and let's talk about.
We're going to freestyle it.
Okay.
So what that means is this. This is an example. Someone's in the office and they'll say to me, so Dr. Rappy, so what supplements should I be taking? Just off the top of their head. These are ones that I think that are really beneficial for most men. Now, there's others as well, but these are just the ones that I find that are going to be the ones that will be most beneficial for men. So this is kind of the ones that doesn't mean they're the only ones. It's just the ones that I personally believe in my practice with what I've done over all the years that are going to be the most beneficial, and we'll go through each of those. Okay?
Cool. So let's start with the first one. Let's talk about vitamin D.
So vitamin D supports your immune system, brain function, and bone density. Now, early on when COVID happened, there was some allopathic doctors on the news saying, don't rush out and buy vitamins. They're not going to help your immune system. They won't help you in any way. Well, just about, I think it's about 6 or 8 months ago, there was a study that came out of Israel or Europe, one of the two, and what they described was that if you were to take 2,000 IUs of vitamin D a day, it would reduce your risk of COVID 25% because it really supercharges your immune system. So vitamin D for everybody. And you're not going to OD on it. You can take tons of it. You're not going to get it from the sun because everybody that goes out in the sun, for the most part, rubs on what? Sunscreen. Because we don't want skin cancer. So you're going to need to supplement in significant amounts to get it up to a level that we like. We personally like to see it around 100. The normal range is 30 to 100. We like it on the high end.
Yeah, and vitamin D is so important. You're right. And the other thing that I'm going to mention, we actually have an online dispensary as well. So if you're curious about any of these, and we'll talk a little bit about the quality of supplements, there is a difference. Like, we love our vitamin D. It's a liquid and has really high absorbency because you can take supplements, but if your body isn't absorbing it, forget about it. So let's go into the next one. Vitamin B. Vitamin
B or B complex, really important. Vitamin B drives all of the chemical reactions that take place in the body, so it's super important. You got to get it. You can't just rely on what I had before. Like people say, well, I take it every couple of days. It's a water soluble, meaning your body can't store it, so you've got to get it from your diet. It's really important that you get it from your diet. Again, it drives all the chemical reactions in the body, so it's important that you get it on a daily basis. An example would be cells can use vitamin D to generate energy from sugar, fatty acids, just to name a few. Okay? So it's important.
Okay, that's a good one, the vitamin D. Next, let's talk about zinc. This has been really at the forefront lately, especially with COVID. So
zinc. Take your zinc. Again, when you look at zinc, it stimulates the immune system. It's really great for tissue repair and tissue growth. It can act as an anti-inflammatory. But when we're talking about your immune system, what's amazing about zinc is around the globe, there are places that are using hydroxychloroquine. Remember, that was boo, don't take it. That's an amazing product that's helped save millions of people's lives. But what they're using it in combination with zinc as well as another antibiotic. What we do in the office, we use it to boost your immune system. It's for growth and repair, but we also use it for this. If when we run our blood testing, find somebody has an excessive amount of ferritin or their ferritin marker is elevated, meaning they're storing iron. We don't want to store too much iron because it's hard on your organ systems. And so we'll use zinc as a chelation agent. Chelation means that the zinc will actually pull the iron out of the body and can lower our ferritin levels to a safe, natural level.
That's pretty awesome.
So we use it also as a chelation agent, but it's mainly used to boost your immune system. So you should be taking D and zinc big time.
Yeah, I love that. And I also love learning at the different benefits for supplements. So the next one we're going to talk about has so many different benefits, and it's one of my favorite, and that's magnesium.
Magnesium has tons of benefits. But magnesium is really important because it's involved in hundreds of different biochemical reactions in the body. If your magnesium levels drop too low, you can't manufacture what are called enzymes. Enzymes do this. Put your hands up like this. If I want to take A and turn it into B, I have to have an enzyme in the middle to make that happen. So if I have low magnesium and I don't have enough enzymes, I'm going to have all kinds of dysfunction happening in the body. So it's really important that you get your magnesium. It has tons of uses, great benefits. We also use it for muscle relaxation. For people at night, maybe they have some back issues, or they'll use it for sleep. So it's a phenomenal product. It can also help regulate blood pressure. Just saying.
I know, so many benefits. Oh, we take it before we go to bed, and it's fantastic. Love that one. Okay, so the next one is really great as well. Let's talk about the omega-3s.
Omega-3s. Everybody knows what omega-3s are, right? Omega-3s, you get it from fish. What the amazing thing about omega-3s is that two components of omega-3s, DHA and EPA, are super important for brain function, heart health. So we want to make sure we're getting plenty of omega-3s in our diet. The other thing that omega-3s do that most people don't know, if you take it in large amounts, it can thin your blood. So a lot of people will come to me and say, oh, I can't take that. My cardiologist told me I can't take fish oil. And I'll say, well, do you know why? And they'll say, well, no, they didn't explain it to me. Well, we're going to explain it to you. It's because it can be a natural blood thinner. So if you're already taking Coumadin or warfarin, or you're taking Plavix or one of the other blood thinners, and then you take those, it can have a detrimental effect. So you got to be careful on that. It's really important. So omega-3s. Now there was some research that came out of Europe, and what they did is they gave a DHA concentrated fish oil to older people for a year. And what they found that it worked so well on their brain, it increased their ability in short-term and working memory compared to the placebo group. So it's incredible for brain function.
Yeah. Oh, I love that about the omegas. That's a great one. And I think the last one is L-Glutamine. Let's talk a little bit about that.
I mean, that's kind of weird. L-Glutamine, L-Glutamine, how do you say it? I'm not sure. Is it roof or is it roof? Is it creek? Is it crick? Is it tomato? Is it tomato? So L-Glutamine is really important. It's the most abundant amino acid found in the bloodstream. 60% of your muscle mass is made up of L-Glutamine, and most people aren't getting enough of it in their diet. It's really important for protein synthesis, meaning muscle growth. So if I'm exercising and want to make sure I maintain my muscle growth, it's incredible for that. It also helps with weight loss. It helps with brain function, and it plays a really important role in our office with regards to healing leaky gut syndrome. It's incredible for that. So it has huge benefits. It's really important. You're not going to get enough of it in your diet. Most people don't, so we want to take it as a supplement.
Yeah, and so I hope that you guys learned something interesting about those basic supplements. And so we wanted to highlight those. But we also want to do a little deeper dive, which is what we do here in the office, and really what makes us different, because our program is a functional medicine program. So we do things differently. We like to do a deeper dive. So yes, it's nice to see, like the six supplements we just talked about. We could test your magnesium, your vitamin D, see what those levels are. But I want to talk a little bit more, again, we're talking about men. Let's talk about some very specific supplements, and these would be really recommended based on blood work. So you can talk a little bit about that.
So before we go to that, let me just add one last thing. All the supplements that we just talked about, they all play an important role in really helping us maintain a strong immune system, and that's really important. Before COVID, we did all this before COVID, and a lot of our clients, they never got sick. They never got the flu because we were supporting their immune system the whole time. So that's a big takeaway with regards to all of the supplements we just talked about. Now, those are the ones that I talk to about when somebody says, well, what should I take? We prefer, or I should say I prefer as a functional medicine practitioner, I prefer to do testing. Everything we do is scientifically based. So it's important that we do testing. When we do our functional lab test, we do 91 different tests. We're looking at all of the organ systems, how are they functioning and how are they working together. Now, there are a couple of areas that we like to really focus on. That would be blood sugar, the adrenal glands, and thyroid, because when those are dysfunctional, they force all of the other organ systems to compensate for that dysfunction, and then they get overworked, and now we just fall into this big trap of full-blown metabolic dysfunction. So in the lab that we do with 91 different tests, that's our base lab, we're looking at all of that. And so we may see somebody that has low blood sugar or high blood sugar. But a blood sugar issue, insulin resistance, we have very specific supplements that will address those. We prefer to give specific supplements for specific things that we see on the blood tests.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you brought that up because it makes me think of things like adrenals and thyroid. We all know someone, whether it's our neighbor, our friend, family member, who's taking this supplement, right? They have a thyroid issue. I'm going to take that supplement too. Well, I want to talk a little bit about thyroid because we do a lot of testing and there's a lot of very specific supplements based on the very specific dysfunction that's happening.
Right. So when we run this functional lab, our goal is to identify what's going on. Let's do thyroid and then we'll go to adrenals. When I test someone's thyroid, I run 9 different tests. I can tell you right now, in 32 years of doing this, rarely have I ever seen anybody bring in lab work from their medical doctor, including their endocrinologist, that had 9 tests. Maybe 2 at the most, maybe 3, okay? But two possibly, TSH and something goofy. Last week I had a lady who had TSH and free T4. Free T4 was worthless. But what I'm looking for in that blood panel of 9 tests, besides 2 of them are autoimmune, we want to identify, do you have thyroid autoimmune? In addition to that, I'm looking at the functionality of the thyroid gland. In order to get a true picture of what's happening functionally in your thyroid gland and the thyroid system, we've got to look at all of the different tests. So don't be shortchanged by your doctor saying, oh, your TSH is high, here's your hormone, when it might not be a problem with your thyroid, it might be something else. And we can describe that as we go along. So thyroid is huge, huge.
It is huge, and there's very specific supplements, and this is for men or women at this point, very specific based on if it's
so let's look at TSH. If your TSH is elevated, we have a supplement to help that with that. If your TSH is low, we have a supplement to help that. Typically low TSH is going to be involved in the pituitary gland. It could be, of course, we got to look at all 9. We've got to see what's going on to determine if I have low thyroid, do I have high thyroid, or is it a pituitary issue? Am I converting hormone? Your thyroid makes 2 hormones, T4 and T3. Your body wants T3. Every cell is desperate for T3 in order to survive. It needs it, has to have it. So you make a lot of T4 and then you convert it to T3 in the liver, in the gut, in the peripheral cells. If I'm not converting very well, that's called a conversion or under conversion issue. We have supplements to help your body convert T4 to T3 so that your cells will get what they need. Very important. So you've got an under conversion issue. Maybe you've got a reverse T3, RT3, reverse T3 is elevated. That can come from cortisol spikes, that can come from an infection. So we have to look at that. Uptake is really important. Uptake means, am I getting enough hormone up into the cell? If I'm not getting hormone up into the cell, even though my thyroid works normally and I'm producing and converting, it's just not getting into the cell, that's going to send a signal back to my pituitary gland and say, give me some more hormone. Tell the thyroid to work harder. You're going to have an elevated TSH. Again, my thyroid's working fine. I'm just not getting uptake into the cell. But your doctor will write a prescription for hormone. What causes uptake issues? Well, it could be estrogen. So let's talk about the next one. Is that the next on the list?
You know
Estrogen?
what?
Look, I'm on a roll over here.
It could be the next one.
I am on a roll. Estrogen. Let's talk about estrogen, estrogen in men. Yes, men. Couple of ways we can develop elevated estrogen, estrogen dominance. You can call it whatever you want, but you have too much estrogen. One is my testosterone is being aromatized or converted into estrogen. That's a dysfunction. That's one. 2, I can get it from intimate contact with my spouse. Let's say your spouse goes to the medical doctor and the medical doctor says, oh, you don't feel good. You're at that age. Here, let's give you some cream. You get estrogen cream, testosterone cream, progesterone pills. You come home and in 2 weeks, you're just off your rocker. You're a little on the frisky side, which is good. Everybody likes that at our age. But you're putting this estrogen cream on at night and then we're cuddling. And guess what? I get estrogen. Next thing you know, I got man boobs. We don't want that because then I'll get a man's ear for Christmas. That's my joke of the day. Man's ear for Christmas. But estrogen issues are not good in men. It drives prostate, can drive prostate cancer, gives you man boobs, and it can block uptake of thyroid hormone into the cell. You see? So all of this stuff is interrelated.
It's all interrelated and also shows you the importance of testing.
Testing.
You can't guess of these things.
No.
This is why the foundation of everyone that we work with is the blood work. We need to just get a snapshot of what's going on with you right now.
Absolutely.
That's the most important thing, because look at all the functions he just talked about.
It all comes out of your testing.
Right, and you can't just guess and say, well, I have this symptom. Oh, I think it's this. It doesn't work that way. You can have all these different symptoms, and there's so many different functions that are in balance. So
cause. We're looking to identify what's the cause, and that's why we do testing. An example would be adrenal glands. When we test adrenals, we're looking at cortisol. We're testing 4 times a day. Because you remember the last talk, I talked about cortisol being a circadian rhythm hormone. Right. High in the morning, low at night. Well, if that gets out of whack, it's going to have a dramatic effect on other organ systems. So we've got to run the testing. It's absolutely imperative.
Yeah. I like all that. Now, this is a question, when we were talking about men's supplements, I heard a lot of this, so I want to ask Dr. Rappi about what do you suggest when men are trying to build more muscle?
Well, of course, we talked about protein last week. You've got to get more protein than what's required to maintain your muscle, to build more muscle. But there's a couple of supplements that can be used. I think we've got, let me see. Where am I? Oh, there we go. Amino acid sport and gamma mol are 2 supplements that we use for people that are trying to build muscle. Increasing, you can use branched chain amino acid powders. I use those on a regular basis. Those are phenomenal. If you're doing weight resistive exercise, remember, you're not going to build any muscle you got to do resistive exercise to really build muscle.
Right. Okay.
And as we get older, it's even more difficult to build. So you got to maintain the right nutrients, you got to have the right diet, you got to have the right quantity of protein, and you got to do the right type of exercises. And we really advocate the high intensity interval training when you're doing resistive exercises.
Yeah, I love that. And I would really go back and watch the Facebook Live from last week where Dr. Rappi talked all about protein. There's so much good information there, men and women. So the very last one that we get asked a lot about and most popular online as well is men and low libido. Is there anything as far as supplements that we can do for that, Dr. Rappi?
Low libido. For years now, we've seen these commercials on TV, low T, and you see the guy, he's all moping around, and then he gets his testosterone from his doctor. Man, he pulls out that driver and he hits a 300-yard drive. What a bunch of OE. But low testosterone does take place as we get older, so it's a real thing that happens, and it can be really difficult for men because we don't keep our lean muscle mass, we lose our sex drive, and so we can become depressed. We just don't feel like any pep in life, any pep in our step, no zip for life, or affection for our spouses. So low T is really important. So naturally, again, eating properly, proper nutrition, proper amounts of protein, and really aggressive weight exercises has shown to stimulate testosterone production. But we use a product called B Vital, and what it does is it stimulates the production of luteinizing hormone. And what luteinizing hormone is going to do is it's going to tell or transmit to the Leydig cells in the testes to release more testosterone, so your testosterone levels will go up. So we want to use some supplementation to help our body naturally produce and release more testosterone.
Yes, okay. That's awesome.
And again, I'm not against any of the bioidenticals. The key to bioidenticals is proper testing regularly to identify if we get into a crisis zone, meaning we've gotten too much. For women, there's too much estrogen, breast cancer. For men, too much estrogen, prostate issues. Yeah. So when men are going to use testosterone, bioidentical testosterone, 1, we don't want intimate contact. She's going to have a mustache by Saturday. Or 2, road rage. We don't want that, but we
No.
want to make sure that we're not overdoing it. So we like to use the natural route, and here's just one supplement that we use along with some of the other techniques that we use in the office to help men naturally produce more testosterone.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, again, so we talked about the 6 most common supplements, and then we added, I hope everybody learned a little something about how the supplements, when we do the testing, then can be really customized, and that's really what we prefer. So Shauna has a question, so that enhances her own natural production.
Correct.
Right. Yes, that's right.
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you, Shauna.
Well, thanks, Shauna. And so what we want to do is, like Lori's saying, with the blood test, it's about being very specifically identifying what you should be taking. I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody come in and they had an entire list of supplements, and I'll start asking them, well, where'd you get this one? Why are you taking it? And they don't know why they're taking it, and they heard it from a friend who's got a niece, who's got a boyfriend, who's got a cousin who's going to school over at the community college taking a nutrition class. So you can't rely on that. It's all about science, science, science. That's why we do the testing we do, so we know we're giving you specifically what your body needs right now.
Exactly. So I love that. So again, I hope everybody learned something. A couple of follow-up pieces. So if you're curious about buying these supplements, again, we have an online dispensary. It's really important where you buy your supplements. The quality, it's a big difference from buying it from like our dispensary and all of our companies that we work for than just walking into like Target or Walmart, because there's so many different fillers and you really want to have a high quality product. So you can contact us, you can comment below. I have the link at the top of this for a free discovery call, and that's with me. We can talk a little bit about what your needs are, kind of how you're feeling and what you're looking for, so we can do a little bit more of a deep dive. So yeah, anything else that you want to add?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. This is a big part of what we do, is making sure that we're not overdoing it and we're taking only that with what we really need at the time. Very important.
Yeah, very, very important, because it's, again, it all goes back to that testing. I want to take what I know my body needs, not what his body needs, but what my body needs. And so that's really, really important. And again, just to kind of wrap it up a bit, I appreciate everybody who watched us live. This was fun having you here, and everybody who's watching us on the recording. We appreciate you guys taking the time. We are live every Tuesday at 4:30. And next week, so we have a couple things. We have Dr. Appy's birthday is next week. And then
Thank you very much.
going into Father's Day. So we are going to keep the theme about men's health, and we are going to do the 5 top health concerns. This is really, really big, and there may be some surprises in there. So please share the information with your friends and your family, because we will be here next Tuesday at 4:30. And Jordan, thank you. Thank you guys for being here and supporting us. We're just trying to get the information out there that helps people understand that they don't have to just feel the way they feel. There is hope for feeling better. There is hope for holistic solutions. That's basically what we talk about every day.
So one last thing is, if you're a local out here in the desert, the temperatures are going up. I think next week on Monday, 115, Tuesday, 117. So really stay hydrated. It's really important for you to stay hydrated in this kind of weather.
Yes, yeah, that's a good one. It's getting hot. So for all of you that aren't in the heat, God bless you and wish us all luck in the heat. So again, I'm Lori Rappy from Thrive Functional Wellness Center.
I'm Dr. Rappy from Thrive Functional Wellness Center.
And we're here to help you and support you, and reach out if you need anything. But meanwhile, have an amazing evening and hope to see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye.